Have you ever witnessed a sibling rivalry that's, well, just so intense, so relentless? It almost feels like the fighting itself is the engine.
Yeah, like the fuel.
Exactly. Not just for chaos, but for something big, something creative, even impactful. Yeah, if a certain legendary British rock band just sprang to mind, well, you're exactly where we need to be for today's deep dive.
Agrees.
Okay, let's unpack this then. You might think you know the story of Oasis, right?
Sure, the big hits, the headlines.
Exactly. But there's so much more to it than just, the anthems that defined a whole generation.
Definitely.
Today, we're really plunging into the iconic world of Oasis. We're focusing squarely on the, well, decades-long infamous feud between the brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher.
Can't talk Oasis without talking about that.
No way.
No.
We'll trace their explosive rise, their pretty acrimonious split, their surprisingly distinct solo successes.
Which were distinct, yeah.
And, of course, the absolutely seismic news of their highly anticipated 2025 reunion tour.
The big one.
We're sifting through, music journalism, news reports, industry insights, really looking for those surprising facts and moments that cut through all the noise.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is precisely how that internal conflict, which, you normally see as purely destructive, was actually so deeply intertwined with their whole creative process and their immense, almost magnetic appeal.
It really was part of the package, wasn't it?
It raises a really compelling question, I think, for any creative partnership, really. Can a band truly exist or thrive without that raw, volatile chemistry, especially when it's between the two main forces giving it its edge?
It's such a captivating narrative. I mean, from the moment Oasis burst onto the scene, the bickering between Liam and Noel, it was just inescapable, wasn't it? Frequently, almost notoriously, overshadowing their incredible music.
Which is saying something, given the music.
And these weren't just private squabbles. They made headlines throughout their career. And even after the band split, it felt like it intensified with social media.
Oh, absolutely. Twitter amplified everything.
Do you remember Liam's classic jab, calling Noel Tofu Boy?
Chuckles. Yeah, that was a good one.
Or Noel branding Liam the angriest man you'll ever meet.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a man with a fork in a world of soup.
Iconic. The insults were almost as famous as the songs.
They really were, and that's the paradox, right?
Yeah.
Because despite this constant, very public infighting, their commercial achievements were just staggering.
Absolutely staggering. Take, what's the story, Morning Glory, for example. That wasn't just a hit album.
Yeah.
It became the biggest selling album of the 90s in the UK. And it's still the country's 5th best-selling album ever.
Incredible.
And globally.
Wow.
Over 70 million records sold worldwide. That's huge numbers.
And talk about global reach. I mean, 3 platinum albums in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, they cracked America, too.
Scooped up a wealth of NME Awards, Brit Awards, MTV Europe, Q Awards, plus 2 Grammy nominations.
They were critically acclaimed as well as commercially huge.
And who could forget Nebworth, 1996.
Oh, Nebworth.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Playing to an astonishing 125,000 people each night for 2 sold-out shows.
The scale was just almost unheard of back then. That really cemented them as this massive stadium phenomenon.
Right. Guinness World Records even named them the most successful act in the UK between 95 and 2005.
Wow.
And they had something like, 22 consecutive UK top 10 hits across that era.
It's just hit after hit after hit.
But that internal struggle, as potent as it was for their music, it ultimately became their undoing, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like a slow burn, really. But it culminated dramatically in August 2009.
The famous Paris incident.
Exactly. The final straw came when Noel Gallagher just quit the band after a backstage dust-up with Liam at the Rock on Seine festival near Paris.
Guitar smashing involved, reportedly.
Well, the details are murky, but yeah. While that specific incident was the breaking point, it wasn't isolated, was it? It was the culmination of years of tension.
All those infamous stories.
Yeah.
Cricket bat clashes, constant verbal sparring.
It had become almost mythical, part of the Oasis lore, but this time it was final.
So after the split, they both went their separate ways. And what happened next was almost like a real-time experiment, kind of validating what fans had debated for years.
Right. How would they fare apart?
They each found solo success, which isn't always a given.
No, definitely not.
But on incredibly different musical paths. Noel immediately formed Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds.
Straight away, pretty much.
And his music shifted, didn't it? Became noticeably more sophisticated, experimental maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so. He leaned into psychedelic rock, some electronic influences. His songwriting felt more introspective on tracks like If I Had a Gun or The Dying of the Light.
But different vibe entirely.
Yeah. In stark contrast, Liam initially carried on with the other Oasis guys.
Right, BDI.
BDI, yeah, for 2 albums. Before launching his own solo career, which has been hugely successful, too.
Very successful.
But his work has really focused on recapturing that original Oasis spirit, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Big, anthemic rock songs, massive choruses.
Delivered with that unmistakable swagger. His solo albums, like As You Were and Why Me, Why Not, they really showcase that consistency. They often sound like, well, the Oasis we knew and loved.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. This sort of division of labor, this separation, it really magnified that long-standing fan debate, didn't it?
The big question, who was more important to Oasis?
Exactly. Noel is largely seen as the vision, the primary songwriter, the creative force.
The architect.
Right. And Liam, on the other hand, is undeniably the voice, delivering those songs with that raw, passionate energy, that compelling stage presence.
The frontman incarnate.
But the general consensus, I think, is that both were absolutely integral, right? Oasis just wouldn't have been Oasis without both of them.
Totally agree. That debate really crystallizes their unique dynamic. And you could see this duality wasn't just in their sound or their roles. It even extended to their public personas.
Oh, yeah, the fashion.
Especially their fashion choices. They perfectly mirrored their distinct musical paths. Noel cultivated that more refined, classic mod look, sharp, clean lines, sophisticated edge.
Polos, sleep jackets.
Yeah, echoing that 60s British subculture. Liam, meanwhile, just fully embraced the brash rock star style.
The oversized parka.
The oversized mod parka, the desert boots, that ubiquitous hair, and the signature massive sunglasses.
Can't forget the sunglasses.
Never. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really demonstrates how creative partnerships, even the fractured ones, can be incredibly potent. That tension itself can be a driving force, creating something truly unique that couldn't really emerge from just the individual talents alone.
It's fascinating. Okay, so let's fast forward. Late 2023, things start to quieten down between them, surprisingly.
A thaw seemed to set in.
Right, leading to this palpable sense of peace in 2024. And then, boom, the earth-shattering announcement. Oasis is reuniting for a tour in 2025.
Huge news. Broke the internet practically.
The Oasis Live 25 tour, officially announced August 27, 2024. And the timing.
Yeah.
Perfect, right? Just 2 days before the 30th anniversary of their debut album, Definitely Maybe.
Nice touch. Very deliberate, I'm sure.
And Liam's been quite vocal about his excitement. He said something like, I love nostalgia, I'm doing the lot.
Chuckles. Sounds like Liam.
Even promising to perform some lesser-loved parts of their back catalog, which, for the diehard fans, that's a real treat.
Oh, yeah, digging into the deeper cuts. And the sheer scale of this tour.
Yeah.
It's just monumental. It really speaks to their enduring global appeal.
It really does. Kicking off July 4th, 2025 in Cardiff.
Yep, in Wales.
And stretching all the way to November 23rd, 2025 in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Covering serious ground.
It's 41 international dates across Europe, Ireland, obviously, North America, South America, Asia, Australia.
Pretty much everywhere. And we're talking multiple nights in massive venues. Manchester's Heaton Park, 5 nights there due to demand.
5. And London's Wembley Stadium, another 5 dates needed.
Just insane demand. Plus, major North American stadiums like MetLife near New York, the Rose Bowl in California.
Huge venues. Right. And let's talk about that ticket frenzy because, wow.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that was something else.
The demand was truly unprecedented. Reports said something like 14 million people tried to get 1.4 million tickets for just the initial UK and Ireland shows.
10 times the supply. Just madness. Led to widespread chaos online, didn't it?
Totally. Crashing websites, fans getting locked out for hours, people being mistaken for bots.
Can blame me for fans.
And, crucially, those dynamic pricing issues, where the ticket prices just skyrocket based on demand.
Yeah, that caused a huge backlash.
Pushing some tickets to truly exorbitant levels. I saw reports of resales for like £6,000.
Crazy money. That level of frustration even got the UK government involved, looking into dynamic pricing.
Right, and Ticketmaster faced legal action from the competition regulator. Eventually, the promoters had to cancel tens of thousands of tickets to resell them at face value.
Damage control. And significantly, the North American tour dates explicitly stated no dynamic pricing via Ticketmaster.
Learning a lesson there, maybe.
Hopefully. So who's actually going to be on stage for this massive comeback?
Good question. The full band lineup brings back the core, which is great news. Liam, on vocals, of course.
Naturally.
Noel on vocals and lead rhythm guitar. And then the familiar faces. Paul Bonehead Arthurs.
Bonehead's back. Fans love Bonehead.
On rhythm guitar and keyboards. Jem Archer on rhythm and lead guitar. Andy Bell moving back to bass.
Right, because he played guitar in Beady Eye.
Exactly. And they're bringing in a new drummer, a really seasoned guy, Joey Waronker.
Oh, interesting choice. Great drummer. Plays back.
Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, adds a solid foundation. Plus a whole host of talented touring musicians, keyboards, backing vocals, horns. Going to be a big sound.
Filling out that massive live sound, yeah. And they've got great support acts lined up, too.
Yeah, fellow Britpop favorites, Cast, and the legendary Richard Ashcroft for all the UK and Ireland dates.
That's a strong bill.
Cage the Elephant for North America, Ballpark Music in Australia, Castor popping up again in the US, too. Adds to the whole event feel, doesn't it?
Definitely makes it more of a celebration.
Okay, so what about the set list? What are they actually going to play? Liam commented that a rumored list online is not far off what fans can expect.
Intriguing.
But here's the bombshell, the thing that got everyone talking. It apparently omits Wonderwall.
No Wonderwall. Wow, that's bold. Their most streamed song by far.
Right. Stirred up a lot of debate online. However, Liam has confirmed on X or Twitter, whatever we call it now,
Chuckles.
that Hello, Round Away, and Go Let It Out are definitely in.
Okay, so some solid choices there. Hello is a great opener.
Yeah, so expect a fantastic mix, I think. Timeless hits, probably some deep fan favorites thrown in.
It sounds like a classic Oasis show, hopefully. But despite this reunion, the report suggests there are still, let's say, striking elements of suspense around the brothers' relationship.
Still walking on eggshells a bit.
Seems like it. Backstage arrangements have reportedly been made to keep Liam and Noel separate. Separate VIP areas, separate after parties.
Wow, really? Even on a reunion tour.
Reflects those complicated, deeply ingrained dynamics, I guess.
It's not all frost, though, is it? There has been that noticeable thaw in the feud recently.
True. There have been positive signs. Noel himself actually praised Liam's vocal prowess not long ago, described it as 10 shots of tequila on a Friday compared to his own half a Guinness on a Tuesday.
Chuckles. That's quite the compliment coming from Noel.
It really is. And Liam dedicated Half the World Away, a Nolan-sung classic, to Noel at a festival. That felt pretty significant for them.
Little olive branches, maybe?
Yeah, but that brings us to the $1 million question, doesn't it? Or maybe the 50 million pound question in their case.
Probably more accurate.
Looking at their track record, do you genuinely believe these massive financial incentives, we're talking potentially 50 millions each, maybe more will be enough to keep the peace?
Or will those famously volatile egos inevitably reignite the old wounds?
Exactly. Now, having the other guys back, Bonehead, Jem, Andy Bell, plus the new drummer, Joey Waronker, maybe that offers a kind of buffer.
Yeah, maybe some stability around the core duo.
Could help. But it still feels like a bit of a tightrope walk, doesn't it?
Definitely. And for now, officially, no new music planned for 2025.
Right. They've been clear about that.
The tour is being presented strictly as a one-off celebration. Liam even had to walk back a claim he made in September 2024 that an album was already finished.
Yeah, jump the gun a bit there, maybe. This cautious approach, just focusing on the tour, it likely aims to avoid the pitfalls you see with some reunited bands.
Like the Stone Roses, maybe, and those singles that didn't quite land.
Exactly. Better focus solely on the strength of that legendary catalog first. Play it safe, initially.
So, when we put all these pieces together, what's the grand takeaway for the future? Is this just a fleeting, nostalgic jaunt?
Or could it be a springboard to something permanent? The odds as they stand. I'd lean towards a cautious, maybe.
Cautious, maybe. I like that.
This tour is undoubtedly a litmus test, isn't it? For their future dynamic, for the appetite for new material.
And the sheer demand, the financial success, just from this initial announcement, it strongly suggests more tours are possible.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe 2026, 2027.
Yeah.
Perhaps celebrating the 30th anniversary of Be Here Now. Financially, it seems like a no-brainer.
But beyond the money, could this actually be the beginning of a genuinely new chapter for them? Or is it just a really epic farewell, a chance to finally, tend to their legacy properly?
Look, ultimately, the enduring love for Oasis out there is undeniable. Combine that with the proven individual success both brothers have had.
But they don't need this financially, arguably.
Exactly. It ensures that even if this is a last chance to see them together, their legacy will certainly be burnished by it. You have this huge opportunity now to kind of define how their story ends, or perhaps how it surprisingly continues.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about. Is the Gallagher brothers' reunion less about truly burying the hatchet and maybe more about celebrating this shared musical phenomena that was just so powerful it actually transcends their personal differences?
Interesting angle.
Kind of proving that sometimes maybe two wrongs do make a right, especially in rock and roll. What do you think is the real driving force behind this monumental return?